Right now, someone around you is winning a game you don't even know is being played. They're not smarter than you, they're not more talented. In a lot of ways, you might be better than them, and you can't figure out why they keep rising while you stay exactly where you are. Here's why. They understand 7 things about people and power that you were raised to ignore. 7 rules that you were taught were cold, or ruthless, or beneath a good person. And because you refuse to even look at them, someone who has no problem looking at them is quietly running the room while you wonder what you're doing wrong. A man named Machiavelli wrote these 7 rules down 500 years ago, and his name became a curse. People still use it as an insult. Machiavellian, cold, scheming, evil, and that reputation is the single most convenient lie ever told, because while good people are busy being disgusted by these rules, the people who actually studied them are busy using them on you every single day. I'm going to give you all 7, not so you can become a monster, so you can stop being an easy target. Because the rules aren't evil, refusing to understand them and getting quietly run over your whole life. That's not virtue, that's just losing with your eyes closed. Let me tell you exactly how this has been happening to you. You do the real work, and someone else takes the credit because they were in the room and you were heads down being humble. You give and give in a relationship, and somehow you're the one always apologizing. You tell everyone your big plan, and it dies, while the quiet one, who told no one, just quietly does theirs. You bend over backwards to be liked, and the people you bent for respect you less, not more. You keep waiting for someone to notice how good you are, how hard you try, how much you deserve it. And they don't. They never do. That's not bad luck. That's you playing checkers while other people play chess, and calling it morality, right? You've felt this, that slow, confusing sense that you're doing everything right and still losing. Comment the word "seen" if you've ever watched someone less talented than you win, just because they understood the game better. I want to see how many of us have been on the wrong side of this. Because I promise you, it's almost everyone who was raised to be good, and by the end of this, you're going to stop losing that way. Let me show you the 7 rules, and let me show you who Machiavelli actually was, because that part is nothing like the story you've heard. But first, one thing, so you don't misunderstand everything that comes next. I am not about to teach you to hurt people. That's the opposite of the point. Every rule in this video is a shield, not a knife. It's for the person who's tired of being the good one, who always finishes last. The one who does everything right and watches the people who cut corners sail past them. If that's you, if you've spent your life being decent and wondering why decency keeps costing you, then these 7 rules are not going to make you a worse person. They're going to make you a protected one. You get to keep every good thing about yourself. You just stop leaving the door unlocked. Law 1. It is safer to be respected than adored. Here's the first rule, and it's the one that will sting the most. So let's get it out of the way. Machiavelli wrote that if you can't be both loved and feared, it is safer to be feared than loved. Now, hold on, because everyone misreads this. He is not telling you to be a tyrant. Read what he actually meant. He meant this: love is something other people give you, and they can take it back the moment you stop performing for it. It's rented, it's conditional. Build your whole standing on being liked, and you've built your house on a mood that isn't yours to control. Respect is different. Respect is built on being consistent, on keeping your word, on holding a line that doesn't move every time someone's unhappy with you. And here's the part that matters. You can lose someone's affection in an afternoon. Respect, once it's real, is much harder to take away. So think about the people pleaser and be honest, because it might be you. The person who says yes to everything, who can't stand anyone being upset with them, who bends and softens and apologizes and adjusts, all to keep the love flowing. And notice what they get for it. Not more respect, less. Because everyone can feel that their standing with you costs nothing, so it's worth nothing. The person who'll do anything to be liked is quietly the least respected person in the room. And they can't understand why. Machiavelli understood why 500 years ago. Being adored by everyone requires you to become whatever everyone wants, which means becoming no one, which means having no real power at all. The moment your position depends entirely on other people's affection, they own you. You just handed them the keys and called it being nice. So here's your job this week. Say no to one thing you would normally say yes to only to be liked. Just one, and notice the panic that comes up, the fear that they'll be upset, that you'll lose them. And notice, a few days later, that you didn't lose them, and that something in how they treat you got a little more careful. That's respect arriving. It only shows up when you stop trading it away for affection. Who in your life do you bend over backwards for? Comment it, just who they are to you. A boss, a parent, a friend who somehow always gets their way. Naming it is how you start to see the trade you've been making. Law 2, keep your intentions to yourself until they're done. Here's the second rule. Machiavelli was obsessed with it. And it might be the most immediately useful thing in this whole video. Conceal your intentions. Say less than you feel. Let people see what you've done, not what you're about to do. And again, this is not about being a liar. It's about a simple, brutal fact. The moment you announce what you're going to do, you hand everyone around you the time and the information to stop you, to talk you out of it, to get there first, to prepare their defense, to quietly resent you before you've even started. You already know this feeling, don't you? You get excited about a plan, a business, a change, a move, and you tell everyone because you're excited and you want the encouragement. And what happens? One person plants a doubt, another one gets weird and competitive, a third one steals the idea, and the energy you had, that clean private fire, leaks out of you through your own mouth, until the thing you were so sure about a week ago feels heavy and complicated and half dead. You didn't lose the plan, you talked it to death. Machiavelli watched powerful men win over and over by moving in silence and then simply appearing, finished, unstoppable, while their rivals were still reacting to the announcement. The surprise itself was the weapon. By the time anyone knew what they were doing, it was already done. So here's the discipline. The next real thing you're building, don't announce it. Not to be secretive or cold, just do it quietly, and let the finished thing be the announcement. Tell people when it's real, not when it's a wish, because a wish spoken out loud invites resistance. A finished thing just commands respect. What's the plan you've been announcing that you should have kept quiet? Comment it in a word or two. The diet, the business, the move, and then make this the last time you say it out loud until it's done. Law 3. Stop expecting people to be better than they are. The third rule is the one that will save you the most pain, and it's the one good people fight the hardest. Machiavelli wrote, plainly, that people are, on the whole, ungrateful, changeable, and quick to look after themselves when it costs them nothing to abandon you. Now, that sounds cynical, cruel even, and here's where I have to challenge something you probably believe, because it's the heart of this whole video. You've been taught that thinking the best of everyone is a virtue. That seeing the good, giving endless benefit of the doubt, expecting people to eventually do the right thing, makes you a good person. And I want to gently take that apart, because that isn't virtue, it's naivety wearing virtue's coat. When you refuse to see people clearly, you're not being kind. You're just handing the steering wheel of your life to whoever happens to be standing near you, and hoping they're good enough to drive it well. And most of the time, they're not driving it for you. They're driving it for them. Machiavelli isn't telling you to hate people, he's telling you to see them, to notice that the coworker who smiles at you has already positioned themselves to take your project. That the friend who always needs you vanishes the week you need them. That the person who's shown you 10 times exactly who they are is not going to become someone else on the 11th, no matter how much you hope. Clear sight is not cynicism, it's the thing that stops you from being surprised, again and again, by the same people. Here's the hard truth underneath it. Every time you got badly hurt by someone, some part of you already knew. You saw the sign and you talked yourself out of it because seeing it clearly felt unkind. Machiavelli's rule is simply this: believe people the first time they show you who they are. Not with hatred, with open eyes. So here's your job. Name one person you keep hoping will change, just to yourself, or in the comments if you're brave. The one you keep giving another chance, not because they've earned it, but because you can't bear to see them clearly. You don't have to cut them off, you just have to stop being shocked. Start seeing them as they actually are, and plan around that, instead of around who you wish they were. Comment the word used if your kindness has ever been taken for weakness. If being the good, giving, understanding one just painted a target on your back. Drop it, because the next rules are how you keep the kindness and lose the target. Now let me tell you who Machiavelli actually was. Because everything you've heard is wrong, and the truth makes these rules land completely differently. You picture him, don't you? The cold master manipulator, the shadowy advisor pulling strings from behind the throne, powerful, feared, winning. That is the exact opposite of the truth. Machiavelli was a loser. I mean that precisely. For years he served the city of Florence, a loyal public servant, a diplomat, a patriot who loved his republic. And then the political winds changed. The powerful Medici family came back to power, and Machiavelli was on the wrong side of it. He lost his job, he lost his position, his income, his purpose, everything he'd built. And then it got worse. He was accused of conspiracy, arrested, thrown in a cell, and tortured. They strung him up by his arms until they nearly pulled from their sockets. He was innocent, and it didn't matter. And when they finally let him out, broken, humiliated, and powerless, he was exiled to a small farm in the countryside, cut off from the political life he loved, watching from the outside as other men held the power he would never touch again. That is where he wrote it, not from the top, from the very bottom. In the evenings, he later wrote, he would put on his good clothes, the clothes from his old life, and go into his study, and there, alone, he would enter the company of the great minds of the past and write down everything he had learned about power. He wrote The Prince as a broken, exiled man, watching the game from the sidelines he'd been thrown to, hoping desperately that if he wrote down the truth about how power really worked, someone powerful would read it and give him his life back. They never did. He died still on the outside, still hoping. So why should you trust the power advice of a man who lost? Here's why. Because he's the only kind of person who ever sees the game clearly. The people winning don't understand why they're winning. They think it's their virtue, their destiny, their genius. It's the person who got crushed, who lost everything and had years alone to study exactly how it happened, who can actually see the machine. Machiavelli didn't write these rules from arrogance. He wrote them from the deepest wound a person can have, the wound of doing things the honest way and getting destroyed for it. He's not teaching you to be a villain. He's the good man who got broken, trying to warn you. Law 4, when you cut, cut clean, which brings us to the fourth rule, and it's one he learned the hard way. Machiavelli wrote that when you have to do something painful, something severe, you should do it all at once, completely, rather than dragging it out. Injuries, he said, should be done all together, so they're felt once, and then they're over. Benefits should be the opposite, spread out slowly. But the harm, the hard thing, the cut, should be clean and final. Now hear this as a rule for your own life, because this is where it saves you. Think about the thing you keep half-ending, the relationship you break up and get back into and break up again. The friendship that's clearly over, that you keep letting limp along. The job you keep almost quitting, the boundary you set on Monday and cave on by Thursday. Every one of those half-cuts, those partial endings, those maybe this time attempts, is its own fresh wound. You're not being kind by dragging it out, you're bleeding yourself slowly, over and over, and calling it, giving it a chance. The clean cut hurts more in the moment, and it hurts far, far less over time. The person who ends it once, fully and walks away, suffers a sharp pain and then heals. The person who ends it in pieces, who keeps one foot in, who stays friends when they shouldn't, who answers the text at midnight, never heals at all because the wound never gets to close. They just keep reopening it out of a fear of the one clean moment of pain that would actually set them free. Machiavelli's cruelty here is actually mercy. Do the hard thing once, feel it fully, and then let it be done. So here's your job. Find the thing in your life you've been ending in slow motion for months, maybe years, and decide today to make it one clean cut instead of 100 small ones. You already know what it is, you've known for a long time. What's the tie you keep half-cutting? Comment it, even just a word. The ex, the friend, the job, the habit, because naming it out loud is the first clean cut. Law 5, give slowly, deliver the hard thing fast. The fifth rule is the other half of the fourth, and it's a quiet masterpiece of understanding people. Benefits, Machiavelli said, should be given out little by little, so they're savored and remembered. This isn't just about ruling a kingdom. It's about how human beings actually experience good and bad, and once you see it, you'll use it every day. Here's the psychology. One big gift, given all at once, gets absorbed and forgotten fast. But a series of smaller good things, spread over time, keeps the goodwill alive, keeps you present, keeps the appreciation fresh. Dump everything on someone at once, and they adjust to it in a week and expect more. Give steadily, and you stay valued, and the reverse, which is the part that helps you most. Bad news, hard truths, painful changes, deliver them once, together, fast. Because the worst suffering isn't the big blow, it's the death by 1,000 cuts. The person who tells you the hard thing all at once is far kinder than the one who lets it out slowly, a little more bad news every week, keeping you in a permanent low dread of what's coming next. You can use this on yourself too. Have a pile of unpleasant tasks. Don't spread them across your whole week, dreading each one. Do them together in one hard block, and then be free. The dread of a hard thing stretched out hurts more than the hard thing itself, done fast. Machiavelli understood that anticipation is its own torture, and speed is its own mercy. And watch how this quietly runs your relationships too, without you ever deciding it. The partner who does one huge romantic gesture a year and coasts the other 364 days and can't understand why it isn't landing. Compare them to the one who does 100 tiny thoughtful things spread out, a text, a small kindness, a remembered detail. The second person is barely spending more effort, but they feel, to the people around them, 10 times more present, more generous, more valued. Same total kindness, completely different result. Because human beings don't add up affection like a bank balance. They feel it in the frequency, in the steady drip, not in the one big deposit they forget by next week. So here's your job. Take the one hard conversation or unpleasant task you've been dreading and stretching out. And do the whole thing at once this week. Rip it off, because the version of you on the other side of the clean, fast, hard thing is lighter than the version living in the long, slow dread of it. And then, with the good things, do the opposite, spread them out, be present in small ways, often instead of grand ways, rarely. Law 6, depend on your own power, not on luck or other people's favor. The sixth rule is the foundation the whole thing sits on. And it's the one Machiavelli felt most personally, because it's the one that destroyed him. He wrote constantly about the danger of depending on things you don't control. He had a word, fortune, for luck, for the favor of the powerful, for all the things that lift you up and can drop you just as fast. And he watched, over and over, rulers who built their power on borrowed strength, on other people's armies, on the goodwill of a patron, on being in favor. And he watched every one of them fall the moment that borrowed strength was withdrawn. Because it was never theirs, it was on loan. And here's the thing, he knew this because it happened to him. His whole life had been built on serving Florence, on his position, on the favor of the people in power. And when the favor vanished, so did everything in a matter of weeks. He had built his life on someone else's approval, and when the approval left, he had nothing of his own to stand on. So hear this as the warning of a man who lived it. Do not build your life on things that other people can take away. Not on one person's love, not on one boss's approval, not on one lucky break, one connection, one platform, one relationship that, if it vanished tomorrow, would take your whole identity with it. Every time your entire stability rests on something outside your control, you are one bad day away from where Machiavelli ended up. On the outside, looking in, wondering what happened. What you build with your own hands, your skills, your character, your resources, the things that live inside you, no one can take. Those are the only things that are truly yours. Everything else is fortune, and fortune turns. So here's your job. Look at your life and ask, honestly, what am I standing on that someone else could take away tomorrow? And begin this week to build one thing that is entirely yours. One skill, one source of income you control, one piece of your identity that doesn't depend on anyone's approval. Because the goal is to become a person who can survive the favor being withdrawn. Since one day, it will be, not out of paranoia, out of clear sight. The person with one thing of their own walks through the world differently than the person with nothing. They can afford to say no, they can afford to see clearly, they can afford to away. Everything Machiavelli admired flows from that one quiet independence, and everything he feared flows from the lack of it. And let's do a good one. Comment one thing you've built with your own effort that no one can take from you. A skill, a body of work, a hard-won piece of character. Name it out loud, because in a video full of things to watch out for, this is the thing to stand on. Law 7, see the world as it is, then act. And here's the seventh rule, the master rule. The one all the others are really just examples of. Once you have it, you have the whole thing. Machiavelli's deepest idea was this: most people fail not because they're weak, or unlucky, or untalented. They fail because they refuse to see the world as it actually is. They act on how they wish things were, how things should be, how they were told the world works. And the world, indifferent to their wishes, runs them over. The powerful person, in Machiavelli's eyes, has one defining trait above all others. They see clearly. They look at the situation as it truly is, stripped of how they want it to be, stripped of comforting stories, stripped of the way it's supposed to work. And then they act on what's actually there. That's it. That's the whole secret under all 7 rules. See what is real, then respond to the real thing, instead of arguing with reality and losing. Think about how much of your own pain came from refusing to see something clearly. The relationship you knew was wrong, but stayed in because you wished it were right. The job you knew was a dead end, but stayed in because you wished it would get better. The person you knew would let you down but trusted anyway, because you wished they wouldn't. Every one of those was a moment where reality was showing you the truth, and you chose the wish instead. And reality, patient and pitiless, made you pay for it. And notice, this is why the other 6 rules are so hard to follow. You can't be respected instead of adored until you clearly see that being adored was costing you. You can't keep your intentions quiet until you clearly see how the announcing kept killing your plans. You can't make the clean cut until you clearly see that the slow one was never mercy. Every single rule depends on this one, on dropping the comforting story and looking at the bare, uncomfortable, powerful truth of what is actually in front of you. Clarity is the door. All the other rules are just what's on the other side of it. Seeing clearly is uncomfortable. It means giving up your comforting stories. It means admitting the thing you didn't want to admit. But it is the single most powerful skill a human being can develop, because everything else, every good decision, every avoided disaster, every rule in this video flows from it. You cannot act wisely on a world you refuse to look at. So here's your job, the biggest one. Take the one area of your life where you know deep down you've been choosing the comforting story over the truth. And this week, just look at it clearly, without flinching. You don't have to act yet. Just stop lying to yourself about what's actually there. Because the moment you see it clearly, you'll already know what to do. So let's bring the 7 together, because underneath them all is one machine, and once you see it, you stop being the person these rules get used on. Be respected, not just adored. Keep your intentions quiet until they're done. See people as they are, not as you wish. When you cut clean, give slowly, deliver the hard thing fast, build on what's yours, not on what can be taken, and above all, see the world as it actually is, then act. And here's the whole thing in one sentence. Machiavelli's rules are not about becoming ruthless. They are about refusing to be naive, because naivety is not a virtue. It is just a slow way of losing everything you care about to people who saw more clearly than you did. That's the part the Machiavelli is evil story gets exactly backwards. The rules aren't the weapon. Your refusal to understand them, that's the weapon, and it's been pointed at you your whole life. The person who reads Machiavelli and stays kind, but stops being a target, has taken the one path that actually protects the good things about them. Because a good heart with clear eyes can survive this world. A good heart with closed eyes gets eaten by it. Machiavelli learned that on a torture rack and in 12 years of exile, watching from the outside, having done everything the honest, loyal, decent way, and been destroyed for it anyway. He isn't the villain of the story, he's the warning. He's the good man who got broken, sitting down in his little study in the evenings, in his good clothes, writing to you across 500 years, saying, "See it clearly, so it doesn't happen to you." So Machiavelli, let me finish it. He died in 1527, still on the outside, still never given back the position he spent his last years hoping for. By every measure he cared about, his life ended in failure. The republic he loved was gone. The power he wanted was never returned. He was buried a disappointed man who thought his great book had changed nothing. And then something happened that he never got to see. The Prince, that desperate little book written by a broken exile, went on to become one of the most read, most argued over, most influential books ever written about power and human nature. 500 years later, we are still talking about it, still learning from it. His name, which he thought would be forgotten, became a permanent part of the language. He lost every battle he cared about in his own life and won the one that outlasted everyone who beat him. And here's what I want you to take from that, more than any single rule. The clear sight that Machiavelli is famous for, he earned it by losing. By being naive and paying for it, and then refusing to stay naive. You don't have to lose everything the way he did to learn what he learned. He wrote it all down so you wouldn't have to. That's the gift in the curse. Every hard rule in this video is a scar he's letting you borrow, so you don't have to earn the scar yourself. So this week, pick one, just one of the 7, the one that landed hardest, the one that named something you've been getting wrong for years. And start there, not to become colder, to stop being the person the game gets played on, to keep your good heart and finally open your eyes. Because someone around you is already playing this game. That was true when we started, and it's true now. The only question is whether you keep pretending it isn't, and keep losing, or whether you finally look up, see the board, and start to play. Tell me the one rule you needed most, one word, in the comments, and I read them. Respected. Silence, clarity, whichever one hit you where you live. Mine for years was the third one. Seeing people clearly, because I kept hoping the ones who'd shown me exactly who they were would somehow turn into someone else. They never did. What's yours? Put it down below, and then go play the game with your eyes open, because you were never too good for these rules. You were just never told the truth about them.